On this episode of Elon Phoenix Weekly, we see how the football team is preparing for a spring season.
We'll check in on an alumni who's currently working in the NFL.
And how one Elon student is taking advantage of all the opportunities here.
All that and more next on Elon Phoenix Weekly. Welcome to a new episode of Elon Phoenix Weekly. I'm Taylor Schmidt.
And I'm Talia Lundquist. Today on the show, we have Elon Phoenix Weekly associate Peter Fortunato. Peter, how are you, man?
It's great to see you, Taylor. How are you doing?
Now, Pete, we've got you here to talk about your new promotion in the football program, interim video and graphics coordinator. How has that been?
The job's been good. I mean, I've had a lot of support since day one from our coaching staff, the players, the students in my office, and everyone basically in and around athletics. So I can't really complain about the transition. Everyone's willing to help me and support me because I am still a student. So they've been really supportive of me as a student, but also me as the interim and video graphics coordinator.
And you've been in the program now for 4 years. How have you seen it evolve since you got involved?
Well, the program's changed in the fact that we've had so much turnover in our office, whether that be students graduating or actually people in my position leaving. So in that regard, we've had so many different people in our office over the past 3-4 years since I've been here. But our office hasn't changed in the fact that we're still doing what we're doing on a daily basis on a very high level. So we're still producing content on a very high level, and we're still providing players and coaches their necessary film to get better on a daily basis as well.
And certainly with everything going on, it's a difficult time. How has the program dealt with all of the new protocols and changes?
Well, I think our athletic department has done a great job of setting different rules and regulations for all of our athletic teams to follow. So I think everyone in our athletic department has done a great job at not only implementing those, but also following those as well. So I think with that, we're just taking it day by day and taking it with the punches.
And with a shortened season that's quickly approaching, things are going to be different. How is the team going to adapt to that?
Well, I think over the last 4 years that I've been here specifically, there's been so much adversity and so much challenges that this team's had to face, whether it be a new coaching staff or different injuries around the team. I think we're just going to take this in full stride. Yeah, it's going to be a little different because we're in the midst of a global pandemic and things of that nature, but this team's going to take it in stride and we're just going to be ready for when the time comes.
And one more question for you. What are you looking forward to most this year?
Well, I'm really excited to see the growth in my office over this next year. We have a lot of young sophomores and juniors in my office now, so I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they handle this adversity and how they grow, because by the time I leave, it's going to be their show, it's going to be their time to shine. So I'm really excited to help develop their creative knowledge and really see what they can do in the next coming years.
Well, Peter, it's always good to have you. All right. Always good to have Peter on the show.
When we come back, an industry chat with a recent Elon graduate currently working in the NFL. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Elon Phoenix Weekly. The NFL is going into week 7, and so far everything seems to be going just fine. The other day, we had the opportunity to catch up with a 2019 Elon alum, Colton Carteret. Colton works in the NFL event operations and productions, working big production events such as the Super Bowl, the draft, and the Combine. Let's find out from him what it's like working inside the NFL during these times.
Before I even chose Elon, I was really interested and wanted to go to a school that had opportunity in the industry near the campus. And so for the longest time, I thought I was going to go to school in Boston. I loved it. I grew up there or in that area. And I found Elon and toured it and knew that immediately that, I wanted to be there, that, 4 years in a setting that was a little bit different than I had imagined was something that, I wasn't going to get later in my career or life if I chose to pursue sport. And so come freshman year, when I was at Elon, I was researching different places that were within driving distance to either get involved or shadow or do different things. I wanted to, still continue doing shows or still continue going to sporting events off campus as well, and found the Coliseum. And through LinkedIn, I had reached out to their executive director, his name's Scott Johnson, and sent him an email with my resume and explained sort of my background, what I was interested in, and didn't hear back from him until a year and a half later. I got a random email from him that said, hey, we have an opening for an intern, an unpaid intern in this department. We'd love to have you come in and meet our team. And so that's sort of how I had gotten that internship. Well, at the same time, that was the beginning of my sophomore year. So this following summer, was when I went to WME. And during the time in between that, I had gotten the role of the concert director or overseeing the concerts for Sub, and started working with a lot of agents, both for the concerts as well as some of our smaller events, and then ultimately even our comedian event as well, and got to know the team at WME through that, and was talking about sort of my plans for the summer with one of them because they had asked and had shared, I was thinking about coming back to New York, and they had then connected me with their sort of HR department and had gotten interviewed and ultimately accepted the position there. I think the big piece and sort of not story there, but lesson was, you never know who is going to help you get that next role or get that next, position or present an opportunity for you that you weren't really looking for. And WME, I think, something I know that I learned there was, I went from sort of the venue side of things, so working on, a local level, to transferring to and hands-on on the floor at the concerts, moving around quite a bit, to being in an office in New York that, I was representing these clients with their agents, and sometimes I would go, to shows, but it was a very different juxtaposition, and it was still the same industry. It was still what I love to do, but it was something that, I was challenged with, and it showed me, as cool as it was not my favorite part of, the industry. And it sort of redirected me a little bit back to sort of the operational and venue side of things. And then the third part of that was, going from sitting in a classroom and having, being a student, to working in how did I do that? I think one of the things, and I think you hit the nail on the head there, I didn't expect and I didn't set out, I don't think, to work at the league. It wasn't something that crossed my mind. I had applied for a program my junior year, headed into the summer, or it was late summer my junior year, headed into senior year, I should say. I applied for their junior rotational program on a whim. It's essentially a 2-year program, and you rotate every 6 months within the league office to different departments. And I made it to the second round of that and didn't get it. And I was sort of relieved because I love football, but it was not. I knew I was sort of at that time headed more in the entertainment direction, had started my own freelance business and was doing, contracting for events with Turner Sports and some other companies and Live Nation, and thought that was what I was going to continue doing after college, that, things weren't really panning out later in the year, and it was fine. And they said, we'll keep your resume and we'll reach out if something opens up. And I thought I would never hear from them. And then about a month after graduation, I was freelancing. I was in LA with Turner Sports doing an event, and I heard from them, and they asked me to come in, and I ultimately got hired for our team. So I think part of it is, and it goes back to one of my earlier points, that you never know what an opportunity, or if a door closes now, what might open later. And then you also, I mean, my role, despite not setting out to work there, after that, I'd sort of closed the door on that and didn't think it was something I wanted to do. Ended up being exactly what I was looking for.
Wow, Colton's out here really doing the most after graduation. His job sounds amazing.
And Colton was always such a good guy to be around. Well, the much anticipated results of round 1 of the Everyday Broadcasting Tournament is here. In matchup number 1, I moved on over Gray Aust. In matchup number 2, Javik Blake took down Emmanuel Tobe. In matchup number 3, the closest of the matchups, Drew Gentry took off Colby Cook by 2 votes. Now finally, Chase Williams moves on over Tom Castle in the final round. Thank you all for voting, and the semifinals will take place next week right here on Elon Phoenix Weekly.
It sure was interesting watching all of your submissions. Coming up next on Elon Phoenix Weekly, we see another addition to the Sport Management Minute and check in on how the football team is preparing for the spring season. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Elon Phoenix Weekly. The NCAA has been dealing with the issue of payment to college athletes for years now. There have been new programs at the professional level that have allowed for athletes to bypass college in certain sports, but the NCAA is trying to get out ahead of new departures. This is the Sport Management Minute.
The NCAA for many years opposed the idea of student athletes being able to receive payment for, endorsements or being social media influencers or even giving lessons in their sport or, attending a camp, being a counselor at a camp or an instructor at a camp. Really, they were not able to do that. And many people felt that was an unfortunate situation. To give the NCAA credit, it's been trying very hard to maintain its distinctive kind of amateur role in sports compared to professional leagues, since they had a reason why they felt that way. The NCAA has decided it's going to try to get out in front of this and open up this opportunity for student athletes. And it's an area that I think is going to be really interesting to watch develop over the next few years. And I think it's going to affect everybody. You've got roughly 500,000 student athletes across D1, D2, D3. Certainly, the star quarterback at Ohio State or Alabama is going to be getting a different kind of endorsement deal than someone playing lacrosse at, my alma mater, Swarthmore, which is in Division III. But that said, that lacrosse player at a Division III school is now going to be able to give lessons to kids, maybe participate in a camp and make some money that way. Maybe if they have a social media following, get paid for being an influencer. So it's going to affect everyone. Student athletes in high school may say, boy, I look at the NIL opportunities in the San Francisco Bay Area, seem like student athletes are really getting great opportunities there, totally legitimate ones. So maybe I'll think a little harder about Cal or Stanford or one of the schools in that area. Whereas, if I went to a school in, some other location, it doesn't seem like the NIL opportunities are as great. It could affect recruiting that way as well.
The process has been very long thus far, but conversations continue to move this issue forward.
Right. And speaking of college athletes, let's take a look at Jalen Green. Jalen is a football player who is also currently working towards his master's degree.
One day I was talking to one of my friends. They said they were going to early college, and you don't want to leave your friends going to high school. So I said, oh, sure, I'll apply. And what I didn't know what I was getting myself into, my parents looked into it and saw it was a really good opportunity and would set me up well for the future. And they didn't let me back out. Once I brought it up, it was set in stone. I played for Southern Durham, but I went to early college high school, and it's on North Carolina Central's campus. And it's basically an accelerated path. So I finished high school in 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year. And then my junior and senior year, I was fully immersed on Central's campus, taking classes with the regular population, getting my 2 years of general education courses. When I came into Elon, I went straight into my, senior level classes. That was a bit of an adjustment, but I managed to, get through that and graduate last year. And now in this MBA program, again, just leaning on my advisors and my peers that I'm in the classroom with, Jordan Dollarson, Donovan Williams, guys that I've been in those classes with who just, helped me get through it. And it's really a team effort. I'm just, grateful to be in the position that I'm at. And, I'm not gonna say I'm where I wanna go, but I'm on my way.
Ball popped out. Elon says they've got it, and indeed the Phoenix do have it.
It's bigger than me. My parents have been working so hard to put both me and my sister through college. She graduated, she's 2 years older than me, and we actually graduated last year at the same time. So she didn't like that, but it's an accomplishment, for my parents as well. The way my parents put it, you're here for this long, and then you have the rest of your life here that you gotta, that you're working, and so you wanna set yourself up good while you're young and able to work.
It's a good day at work. We live on Friday.
I knew the path that I would be on, but if you had told me I would have graduated college at 19 and about to graduate again at 21, and then now playing defense, I would have said, nah, you're crazy. I wouldn't have believed it myself, especially the fact that, you never know what's gonna happen. But I'm thankful for my journey, and it's been a great journey to this point.
Wow, that's really impressive that he's able to balance all that at the same time. I'm a normal college student, and it's hard for me to balance everything.
Next week, the semifinals of the Everyday Sportscasting Tournament, a look inside minor league baseball operations, and I break out some dance moves on the football field.
If you missed anything, check out our episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/Elon Phoenix Weekly or by searching us on any streaming channels for ElonCom. Head to elonphoenix.com to learn more about upcoming games and exciting successes for Elon Athletics. And be sure to follow us on our socials at Elon Phoenix Weekly.
Well, thanks so much for joining us this week on Elon Phoenix Weekly. On behalf of the entire crew, that's Taylor Schmidt. I'm Taylor Lundquist. Have a good one.